So continuing with the from the first video, we've created the perpendicular bisectors and located where the pivot point should be for both the crank and the follower. So we're going to get out of this sketch now, and I'm going to do this in a series of sketches, so that way if you want to turn off the visibility, if it gets too busy, too much in the visual here, we can always turn some of the sketches off independently. So the next thing we want to do is actually create, we have the locations showing the orientation and the position of the coupler in each spot. So now we're going to create actually a separate coupler so that we can move it around and see how it goes, see how it moves from point to point. So I'll just go ahead and create a new sketch. And I don't actually want to, well, I'm going to go ahead and initially snap to these points. But then I do want to keep the perpendicular one, but I don't want this to remain constrained to the original sketch, because then I'm not going to be able to move it. So I'll just go ahead and delete these constraints here. But I do want this to stay in the same length, so I'll just go ahead and dimension it. And I want to get that that's a horizontal dimension, so I want to get that as a line right there. Oops. Okay, and I'll just go ahead and accept that. Right, and then the same thing here. Again, I don't want it a vertical because it's not quite vertical, so I'll accept that. Okay. All right, so we have that in the right lengths, and now I'm going to connect the bottom to this pivot point, and then the top to this pivot point over here. Whoops. And again, we're going to want to be able to swing these around, but we do want to hold those lengths constant. So I'll just go ahead and put in, accept that distance there, and again that distance there. And I want to make sure I have the aligned dimension rather than a horizontal or vertical, so, because it's the length that we want to maintain constant there. Okay, so now we should be able to move this and see what happens when we move it. So I got this point here, and you can see that is right at the position and angle that we want. And when we come over here, there we go. So this is behaving exactly as we had hoped. We are clearing this corner over here. Okay, so with those lengths and those positions of pivot points, we're able to, whoops. So you can see what happened here. I should have turned the snap feature off because it just tried to put a constraint in there. Okay, so in other words, what I should have done first before trying to move that was to turn the snaps off, so that now when I try to move it, I don't have that problem. Now you can also see that you have a toggle point here, so you wouldn't want to try and drive this, put the gear on this link up here, because when you get to here, right, it doesn't know what to do. It could actually go past, and then this link is actually coming back the other way. So this is the link that you want to drive, and I'll have to pick up here from the next video.